if somebody feels convinced that they should leave a relationship, but they're struggling to accumulate the bravery to be able to sort of pull the pin, maybe they've got close a few times and they've bailed out, what would you say to sort of motivate that person who deep down knows that it's the right thing to do, but as of yet, just the courage kind of hasn't come to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a practical aspect to this, and then I think there's a relational aspect to this. If there's a very real, the data's pretty clear that, more women file for divorce, but women's net worth often plummets, right? And so there's a very real economic consequence. So if you're married to somebody, if you're living with somebody and I got to get out of this thing, there's a very real math problem you have to solve. And that's unfortunate and it's scary, and the social services are pretty tough, but there's a very real question.
I suppose the equivalent would be the same for men, but in reverse, paying alimony.
That's
and
exactly
blah, blah.
right. Yeah. And so I think there's a math problem there. Not to say stay together for the math, right? I haven't seen that bumper sticker, but there's a very real reality to this. The other side of it is, I know for most of us, when emotions are a sign, especially strong emotions, are a sign that your body's trying to protect you. And when your body's trying to protect you, you're not thinking. And so for me, it's been very important to have a couple of men in my life that I outsource some of these things to. I'm gonna sit down with you, make sure I'm seeing this thing clearly. Because here's what I'm feeling. And it's been more than once in my life when I sit down with a few of my old 30-year plus ride or die buddies, and I'm like, she's doing this and this and this. And they're like, have you looked in a mirror, man? And they're able to see something, right? No warrior goes into battle without eyes in the sky. And so I think I often are in our Lone Ranger cowboy world we live in, man. It's, you got to know all this, but I'll do this by yourself. And so I'm constantly telling people, dude, go get a cup of coffee with somebody and just exhale. And then tell them what's going on. And they may say, hey, there's a common thing on my show. Someone will call and be like, my sex life's screwed up. We have only had sex twice last year. It's a disaster. It's falling apart. And then 10 minutes into the conversation, it's like, well, we have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and she's pregnant. I'm like, bro, hang up the phone and call me back. Like, you'll have survival sex. Y'all are figuring this thing out. Like, you're not broke and it's okay, right? But that's you just need somebody to sit with you. But when it comes to courage and bravery, I think at some point we have to head into the discomfort. I mean, that's all Judd Brewer stuff on anxiety, right? You got to head into it, the thing that you're scared about and anxious about.
Yeah, I think some of the questions that I've asked friends about when they've been on the fence, unsure, scared about being alone, about losing this attachment, one of the things is how much of your life is thinking about this breakup taking up? Like, what other productive or peaceful or mindful thoughts is this taking the space of?
Yeah.
How often are you not present at dinner or not present at work or, trying to meditate or train in the gym or do any of the things that usually bring you joy, and you're not thinking about where you are? And
that's when someone says, hey, should I break up with them? I'm thinking about this, I always say, absolutely, you should break up with them. And I just watch. And if their shoulders drop, if their face drops, that may be the right move.
Yeah.
And
because they've
if
got
they
a sense
tense
of
up,
relief.
like, no.
Yeah. They've got a sense of relief from that being on the other side. They're just asking you for permission.
That's right.
They're just asking you for permission. There's this great, Rick Hansen, he wrote Hardwiring Happiness. Dude, unreal.
Okay.
Imagine CBT meets Dharma wisdom, meets mindfulness, meets neuroscience. It's
Give me his name.
Hardwiring Happiness by Rick Hansen. He's got a phenomenal podcast with his son, Forrest Hansen. I think it's called Being Well. And he dropped this quote that said, wisdom is choosing a greater happiness over a lesser happiness. And I think, a lot of the time we assume that change is only ever going to make things worse, even though when we look back, almost all changes have made things better.
But we don't fear change, we fear loss.
True. Yeah. But that's uncertainty. We don't necessarily feel loss, we fear uncertainty.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Because losing an abusive partner you're not fearing that, you're fearing the uncertainty of what it would be like to be without them. We have two needs as humans. We have an exploration need and we have a security need.
Yeah.
Right?
And their intention, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Novelty and
yeah. Novelty, safety. Yeah. You need to go out and get some berries. You need to go to a new bush because this one's empty. But also there's a risk of going there because there might be a lion behind it and it might kill you. I think one of the things that's really useful is to try and have faith that you are the sort of person who can handle change well. Like, just to think about that as an ideal, like, it makes a world inside of your mind where you don't need to fear things adjusting, because change has happened in the past and you seem to deal with it quite well then. Change is going to happen in the future. You're probably going to deal with that. So why not this one? Like, why not back yourself to be able to be the sort of person who can deal with change well?
Yeah.
Like, you've got this, you're flexible, and you're okay in different situations. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the people who have the opportunity to choose partners, to not just have to settle for the first thing that happens, to have different life opportunities, to move away from their town, they are probably quite hard workers. And the problem with being a hard worker is that you have to have a pain tolerance. And if your pain tolerance is quite high, that means that your pain tolerance for emotional deprivation is quite high, which means that you'll stick about in a relationship that isn't serving you for a very, very long time.
Just keep going and going and going and going. Because that's what we do.
Yeah, you're used to putting your nose against the grindstone and things being tough.
Yeah.
And coming out the other side and going, I wasn't that happy, but fuck, I got through it.
Yeah, I got through it.
Because in the past, in other areas of life, in the gym or in diet or in building a meditation habit or in business or in skill acquisition, you have learned to associate delayed gratification. You're basically marshmallow testing your way through life, right? Over and over again. And you go, well, look, there's certain things that you just kind of need to embrace the suck.
Yes.
And on the other side of which there will be maybe not happiness, but meaning and fulfillment and well-being. And perhaps downstream from that, you get some like fun and enjoyment and happiness and blah, blah. But probably not in your relationship, right? I don't think anybody's going to congratulate you on your deathbed for saying he suffered in silence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, except that I don't know that, I mean, it takes two to tango, right? But I think that makes suffering the inevitable outcome. And I remember when my wife and I were sitting across the table, like the message I sent to her, because we weren't speaking, was no crying, no fighting, no screaming. And this was self-directed. I'm the emotional one. We gotta say, are we still doing this? This is it. Like, because the marriage we've had up till now is over. Like, are we gonna keep doing this? But I remember that conversation when we both came to the realization we have both mutually chosen a miserable marriage. And the beauty is we can choose a not miserable one. And I think that agency of choice has been taken away by a culture of disempowerment. So I think the idea of like, it's either bail or suffer in silence, I think I don't think it's that binary. I think you can also both be like, dude, we chose suck. And I did something, whoever you may be, I stepped out on the marriage. I gambled a bunch of money away. Like I did an extra bad thing, if you want to frame it like that. We can both choose something different. And that to me is it's not on the table anymore. But if you look past, the same thing happens relationally. Those who stick it out and they choose something different, choose something magnanimous, which is very on Romeo and Juliet, right? You're supposed to just be star-crossed lovers. It's stupid. It's nonsense. You choose it, and you keep choosing it, and you keep choosing it. Man, you see people who've been through hell, and they're on the other side. That's the goofy guys that have real short shorts on and no business wearing that short of shorts at the beach, and they don't care, right? Because she loves him, right? And it's a different kind of different kind of depth to that love.
I've heard you say before about how the time, I think this was your conversation with Arthur Brooks, the time when you want to pull away the most is the time when you're supposed to lean in.
I did it last night with my daughter. She's 9 years old, man. Whew, she's got a supernatural ability. She knows where every single hidden buttons I didn't even know I had. She just knows. And she screaming and hollering and yelling and doing her 9-year-old stuff and started to walk away. And I literally went downstairs to head out the door with the dog to go for a walk. And I stopped. This is that moment. That's when Arthur Brooks is ringing in my head. And you turn around, you walk back in.
Damn it, Arthur.
And I went and climbed into bed with her. And my wife's reading a book. And I just climbed. She shoves me out of the way. And I move. And then within 30 seconds, you hear her breathing different. And then she reaches over and grabs your hand. And that's what dads do. Emotionally immature children run off. dads go right through it.
Like, yeah, you had a child-on-child war
That's
about to begin.
It's my
Your
inner 7-year-old. That's, bro. That's right.
Dude.
Was it who? It may have been. It may have been Sal DiStefano that I called recently and was like, hey, I'm having a disagreement with my 14-year-old, and he just started dying laughing. He goes, I was going to stop you right there. And I was like, what am I doing? And I was like, I'll call you. No, it was Lane Norton. I called him. I was like, hey, I'm arguing with my 14-year-old. And he goes, how about I just stop you right there? And I was like, what do I do, right?
Yeah.
I do this for a living. And it happens.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fucking funny.
And then you roll it off and you move on, right?
A quick aside, if you're anything like me, packing for a weekend trip somehow takes longer than the trip itself, which is why I've partnered with Nomatic, because this backpack is the best, most beautiful, most life-changing piece of luggage that I've ever found. It's got a compartment for everything. No more playing suitcase Tetris or rolling your clothes like you're some sort of burrito chef. You planned a beautiful trip. Do not let a disorganized bag ruin the vibe. Look, if you're still on the fence about their product, they come with a lifetime guarantee, so this is literally the final backpack that you'll never need to buy, and you can return or exchange any product within 30 days for any reason. So you can buy a new bag, try it for a month. If you don't like it, give you your money back. And they ship internationally. Right now, you can get a 20% discount. See everything I use and recommend by going to the link in the description below or heading to nomatic.com/modernwisdom. That's nomatic.com/modernwisdom. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip with John, you will love the full-length episode right here. Go on.